So we'll just do.
Good morning. How's everyone doing? This is a nice summer day. This is my kind of summer day out there right now. Very pleasant, very nice. For those who don't know me, I'm Reverend Alan Hicks. I'm the associate priest for this church. I haven't been around a whole lot recently the past months, but I've been doing supply work for a lot of other churches on Sundays. I've enjoyed it. It's fun. Anyway, Rachel is out of town last week, this week, and I believe the coming week. A conference. I'm not sure exactly which continent she's on right now. I'm not sure. She's somewhere. But so, you got me. I do not have a lot of announcements. However, we have a couple of things going on in today's service. The school starts for a lot of the kids this coming week, and every year we have a program of blessing their backpacks or their tote bags or anything like that, golf bags, whatever people want to have blessed. This is a service, we bless them, and you actually get a little tag that looks something like this to hang on the bag. A number of years ago, I kind of started the process where I brought my golf bag in, and so this hangs on my golf bag every time I play golf. And I've had a number of people come up and ask, tell me, what is this? What's going on with it? And it's a good opportunity to talk about who you are, what your beliefs are, tell them about Trinity, what a wonderful group of people we are, how they need to come see us and visit us. So, yes, sir. Did not help my golf score, but that's why the pencils have erasers. So anyway, at this service, we're going to bless any of the backpacks we have. So I hope any kids, if you remembered, or any other bags, to bring them up. So my question, if you have them right now, bring them up, line them up in front of the altar table. All right, here's one backpack. We're actually going to bless them right up here. You lean up there and see it. Thank you. Just come right on up. Cool. Excellent. Oop. Excellent. This is actually kind of a cool thing we do. The kids who go to school get to hang this tag on their backpack also, so they can talk to the other kids, tell them what this is. To get the tag, you have to sit through my sermon first, because then we'll do the blessing. So, like I said, I don't have a whole lot of other announcements. Yes, we have an announcement here. I lied. We do have more announcements. First up.
Good morning. I am excited to be here today to talk to you all about Out to Lunch Bunch. So I am the Ray, if you will, up at Peace Lutheran Church in Savannah. Now, where's Savannah, you might ask? So if you're up I-5 and you're going to Arlington, don't go to Arlington, go left, and there's about 4 buildings, and that's Savannah. And so the Peace Lutheran Church there, they have 2 groups. They have Out to Lunch group, and Out to Lunch Bunch and Out to Dinner group. And so I thought, what a wonderful idea to bring here to Trinity. And so my next available Monday, though, is September 28th. 28th. So we've got some time. But I'd love to get this started. My first thought, I was thinking something maybe on the waterfront, easy to get to, and the Indigo is one of my favorite spots. It's an affordable lunch. It's a really beautiful place to get to be out on the water, and I've never had a bad meal there. And so my idea is that we would gather together at noon at the Indigo and see how many people we can have join us for our first out to lunch bunch. If you have any questions or ideas or suggestions for this one or the next one, we'd love to just have something like this going so that we have a way for people to connect outside of Trinity as well. So thank you very much. Oh, Zane. Sorry, Zane has a question. At noon on the 28th, it's a Monday, because that's the day I have off. So then I can be there with y'all. And it's been a lot of fun when we do it with Peace Lutheran. There's no agenda. You literally just come, have lunch, have fellowship together, have a good afternoon, and then we'll do it again in October, hopefully. So thank you.
Good morning. Didn't get it on the bulletin, but so if you grab your pencil right now and write on the bottom under the schedule, Saturday, September 19th. Thank you. I'm looking for the confirmation that I'm saying the date right. It's going to be a work day. What time did we say? We didn't say. The time will be a surprise, so just show up and find out what happened. We'll have the time set before that day, and we've got usually 9 o'clock. We have to catch the ferry, so we've been pushing for 10, but we'll get it printed out and ready for everyone. There's plenty to do. There's a lot to do in Rogers. Oh no, wait, there isn't anymore. For the time being, but there's a lot of things. So bring whatever skills, tools, abilities, guesswork, whatever you've got available, and we will. There's no list to the ends of things. We try and prioritize by, the roof's going to fall down next week. That would be a priority. We're going to all be electrocuted the week after. That would be a priority. So things like that. Thank you very much.
Hey, it's my weekly I need more adults in Sunday school announcement. I'm going to keep making this weekly till I get more adults in Sunday school, or we decide that we're not going to do Sunday school every Sunday because we don't have enough adults. So you get to pick. So please, if you can even commit to one Sunday every month, one Sunday every other month, that would be wonderful. We just need people to actually actively commit. We are going to do the Safeguarding God's Children thing, which is a requirement when we're downstairs with the kiddos. Has some basic rules, 2 adults with every group, non-related, so on and so forth. We are going to do that next Friday, if I can get enough people to confirm to it. Check out the info pages. It's got more information and how to RSVP for that. Thank you.
Are there any more announcements from the congregation? Up here, we have another one.
Just a little addendum. If you come to work on Saturday the 19th,
You may have a large crowd. The other request I have is for the work party, we need a volunteer. Fall weather is coming, right? And as you walk in this side door up the ramp, we have supposedly to be able to push this button and the door supposedly works and open and closes. It doesn't. It hasn't for several years. And I need a volunteer who will research that and find out if we can replace the unit, get a new unit, get the cost, find out what's going on, because with the heating system and all, you get a lot of cold air blowing in, the door slamming back and forth. Something that we talked about and it's never really followed up. So we need a volunteer to do this. Yes, sir. Are you volunteering?
We got it fixed a while ago. If it's down again, it's just the battery. I'll check it.
It's something, it needs to be able to work. Excellent. Thank you. No more announcements. David Spring, when is choir back? There you go. Choir will be back. Until then, sing with a joyful noise yourself here in the pews. Birthdays and anniversaries. I have 3 birthdays listed. Stella Napolitano. I haven't seen her. Teresa Rose. Haven't seen her. Rachel Olson. Come on up. Yes, you know the routine.
I do.
Come on up. Rachel, would you care to share how many years you've been walking this earth?
Walking.
Running, crawling.
Been on.
Thank you.
You're on. 46 tomorrow.
46 tomorrow. And what words of wisdom can you share with the group that you have learned that you can help us on our way?
Laugh at everything, at least a little. Have fun. There's too much joy to be had, and joy is an act of resistance. So, joke, have fun, show your love to people.
Your name? Karen. See?
Finance?
Karen Finance?
Yes.
Would you care to share? You don't have to. How many years you've been walking?
82 years tomorrow.
82 tomorrow. Excellent. Any words of wisdom for the group?
Yes. Love your neighbors and all the new people that you meet in your life,
Love your neighbor and all the people you meet in your life,
and especially here.
especially here. There you go. Thank you. On your laminated sheet in front of you, second prayer down, let us pray. Watch over your children, O Lord, as their days increase. Bless and guide them wherever they may be. Strengthen them when they stand. Comfort them when discouraged or sorrowful. Raise them up if they fall. And in their hearts, may your peace, which passes all understanding, abide all the days of their lives. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. For anniversaries, I have none listed. Are there any anniversaries? I don't have it in here. What do you have? Oh. And they're here. Craig and Lynette Connell, excuse me. Perfect. And David and Karen Cunningham. I haven't seen them. How many years have you been together?
We've been together for 10 years, married for 8.
Is that true?
Yeah.
And in these 8 to 10 years, this blessed time, what have you learned? What wisdom can you share with the group?
The greater the struggle, the greater the opportunity to have a sense of humor.
Almost every problem can be solved with a hot cup of coffee or a treat.
Excellent. Okay. Laminated sheet, third prayer down. Let us pray. Almighty God, we thank you for consecrating the union of this couple in the name of your Christ. By the power of your Holy Spirit, pour out the abundance of your blessing upon them. Defend them from every enemy. Lead them into all peace. Let their love for each other be a seal upon their hearts, a mantle about their shoulders, and a crown upon their foreheads. Bless them in their work and in their companionship, in their sleeping and in their waking, in their joys and in their sorrows, in their life and in their death. Amen. Take a moment to collect our hearts and our minds for our service. Thank you. Be God, our Creator, Redeemer, and Sustainer. Blessed be God's name, now and forever. Amen. author and giver of all good things, graft in our hearts the love of your name, increase in us true religion, nourish us with all goodness, and bring forth in us the fruit of good works. Through Jesus Christ our Lord, who lives and reigns with you and the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever. Amen. Please be seated.
A reading from the prophet Jeremiah. O Lord, you know, remember me and visit me, and bring down retribution for me on my persecutors. In your forbearance, do not take me away. Know that on your account I suffer insult. Your words were found, and I ate them. And your words became to me a joy and the delight of my heart. For I am called by your name, O Lord, O God of hosts. I did not sit in the company of merrymakers, nor did I rejoice. Under the weight of your hand I sat alone, for you had filled me with indignation. Why is my pain unceasing, my wound incurable, refusing to be healed? Truly, you are to me like a deceitful brook, like waters that fail.
Therefore, thus says the Lord, if you turn back, I will take you back, and you shall stand before me. If you utter what is precious and not what is worthless, you shall serve as my mouth. It is they who will turn to you, not you who will turn to them. And I will make you to this people a fortified wall of bronze. They will fight against you, but they shall not prevail over you. For I am with you to save you and deliver you, says the Lord. I will deliver you out of the hand of the wicked. Hear what the Spirit is saying to God's people.
Lord, A reading from the letter of Paul to the Christian community in Rome. Let love be genuine. Hate what is evil. Hold fast to what is good. Love one another with mutual affection. Outdo one another in showing honor. Do not lag in zeal. Be ardent in spirit. Serve the Lord. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in suffering. Persevere in prayer. Contribute to the needs of the saints. Extend hospitality to strangers. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse them. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Weep with those who weep. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be haughty, but associate with the lowly. Do not claim to be wiser than you are. Do not repay anyone evil for evil, but take thought for what is noble in the sight of all. If it is possible, so far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all. Beloved, never avenge yourselves, but leave room for the wrath of God. For it is written, "Vengeance is mine, I will repay," says the Lord. No, if your enemies are hungry, feed them. If they are thirsty, give them something to drink. For by doing this, you will heap burning coals on their heads. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. Hear what the Spirit is saying to God's people.
The Holy Gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ, according to Matthew. Jesus began to show his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and undergo great suffering at the hands of the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be killed, and on the third day be raised. And Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him, saying, "God forbid it, Lord. This must never happen to you." But he turned and said to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan. You are a stumbling block to me, For you are setting your mind not on divine things, but on human things. Then Jesus told his disciples, if any want to become my followers, let them deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For those who want to save their life will lose it, and those who lose their life for my sake will find it. For what will it profit them if they gain the whole world but forfeit their life? Or what will they give in return for their life? For the Son of Man is to come with his angels in the glory of his Father, and then he will repay everyone for what has been done. Truly, I tell you, there are some standing here who will not taste death before they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Christ.
Our God of grace and mercy and love, be with us this day as we worship together in community. Bless us, guide us, open our hearts and minds to your inspiration. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Please be seated. Jeremiah was a prophet in ancient Israel, in the kingdom of Judah. He lived about 650 years before Jesus was ever born, and his ministry was said to have been ordained by God before Jeremiah was ever born. To give you a clue of what was going on back then, Israel itself was 12 tribes from all the different sons, and they had different kingdoms. And the kingdom of Judah was the southern part of Israel, Jerusalem, in that area, very heavily populated, and this is where Jeremiah was sent to. God chose him to be his prophet, even though Jeremiah himself protested. He didn't want to do it. He protested. Jeremiah said, I'm too young. I won't know what to say. But God, Yahweh, touched his mouth and declared that his words would be in him. So, the mark of a real prophet, then, is not personal charisma or skill with words or the ability to predict events. It is the fact that God chose him and equipped him and sent that person to be a prophet. A lot of times, you ask them right now, what is a prophet? It's someone who can foretell the future. No, that's not what a prophet does. A prophet reminds people of the Word of God and what God wants people to do. If you stay on the straight and narrow, everything's going to be good. However, prophets are usually more reluctant than eager to be a prophet, because the role usually meant they're going to suffer rejection, persecution, hardship. Jeremiah suffered a lot because his mission was to try and warn God's people that they were headed for destruction if they didn't change their ways. And ultimately, they did not change their ways. In society, you get used to doing things on a daily basis, certain status. Looking around today's world, we always have these routines we go. And sometimes we forget the things that are most important. So our first reading today tells us of the toll that had been taken on Jeremiah over the years. He didn't necessarily reject the role of being a prophet, but it was a constant, heavy burden which he just wore down. That's why he lamented a lot in this reading today. People were not changing their ways, even though he tried to get them to. He was mocked, he was ridiculed, he was derided for just being a crazy old man. Jeremiah didn't struggle because the message that he was delivering, but because of his love of God. And he loved his people, and he was seeing them go down a very dark path. And there was apparently nothing he could do or say to get them to change their ways. And eventually it did cost them their kingdom. They were taken over shortly afterwards by Babylon, the Babylonians, and they were dispersed. Jerusalem was destroyed. So there are very two conspicuous themes in our Old and New Testament readings today: lament and struggle, and the basic suffering of real life. The lament, the very real lament of Jeremiah. I suffer without relief, my God. And then the struggle, the very real struggle to keep the faith in today's world, or to their world, that we do see depicted in the gospel reading. Our epistle reading from Paul to the Romans tells us what to do about it. Who here has not been knocked around by life? Not just knocked around, but kicked to the floor, bruised, bleeding, broken heart, whatever it takes. To the point where you struggle to get up. You question your faith. You question everything. You wonder if you'll ever get over and through this. Take a minute to look around at each of you. Everyone in this room has been kicked around like that. Sometimes you're on a ledge, you think you've hit rock bottom, but no, there's still ways to go. Been there, done that. It ain't fun, people. All of us have been there. I am very grateful for the truth brought forth in these readings, the reality of our hardships, because Scripture also brings us the God-given reality of His grace since the very beginning of His covenant with us. Jeremiah 29, he assures us, "For I know the plans I have for you." And then centuries later, Matthew promises, "With God, all things are possible." In today's epistle, Paul tells us what to do as we live and lament and we struggle. We love and forgive one another, we live in hope, and we rest in God's grace. Easy to say, but sometimes it's hard to realize. Our epistle reading from Paul's letter to the Romans is one of the most positive and encouraging messages in the whole Bible, because it pretty much tells us explicitly how to conduct ourselves as we live our mortal lives. Now, I could read our verses from Paul today, recite them, assign them as memory homework for each of you, and my job here would be done for the rest of the year. Let love be genuine. Hate what is evil. You're given permission to hate something. A lot of times we think the Bible doesn't say to hate. You can hate some things. Hate what is evil. Hold fast to what is good. Love one another with mutual affection. Outdo one another in showing honor. Do not lag in zeal.
Be ardent in spirit. Serve the Lord. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in suffering. Persevere in prayer. We forget that one sometimes. Contribute to the needs of the saints. Extend hospitality to strangers. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse them. I struggle with that one, to be honest. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Weep with those who weep. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be haughty, but associate with the lowly. Do not claim to be wiser than you are. Do not repay anyone evil for evil, but take that thought for what is noble in sight of all. If it is possible, so far as depends on you, live peaceably with all. Beloved, never avenge yourselves, but leave room for the wrath of God. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says the Lord. If your enemies are hungry, feed them. If they're thirsty, give them something to drink. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. What else is there? I mean, that kind of says it all right there. This is how we should live our lives and how we should approach our lives. Do any of you also struggle with a few of those statements? There's things going on in the world, in this country especially, that I struggle with. I'm not going to avenge, but I'm not going to forget either. Can anything be more explicit and more accurate than that as an example of how to live our Christian lives? So, make note of that reading, and that's your memory homework. Go back to it occasionally every now and then and reread it. It helps refresh you. Jesus had reached a climax point in his ministry that he knew things would be reaching an end in the coming months. He had started preparing his disciples for what would be coming and for what they would be going through. It was one thing to accompany Jesus as he lived his life. In a way, these disciples were living vicariously through him as they watched him preach and teach and perform miracles. Miraculous events happened, and they were first-person witnesses. Yeah, there were a few times when they may have participated in some of those events, like feeding 5,000 people with a few fish and bread. These are the ones who actually passed out the food. But now their world was going to be turned upside down. He told them that he must go to Jerusalem, suffer grievously, die, and be resurrected from the dead. And of course, you know who? Peter would have none of it. This must never happen to you. Now, for his defense, he was probably only reacting as any one of us would have reacted if we'd been in the same place. We would immediately try to figure out some way to make sure this tragedy didn't happen. This was our friend. We can't lose him. But this is where Jesus operated from a different place as you and me. He was not attached to this mortal world like you and me. He was attached to his spiritual home with God. He would have to go through all the trials and tribulations here to return to his Father in heaven. This is why he said to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan. You are a stumbling block to me, for you are setting your mind not on divine things, but on human things." Now, I'm sure you guys went to church last Sunday, right? Just last week in our readings, Jesus asked the disciples, "Who do you say that I am?" Peter is the one who stood up and proclaimed, "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God." And Jesus said to him, Blessed are you, because my Father revealed this to you. And now this week, he exclaims to Peter, get behind me, Satan. Such is the fervor of the times, the best of times to the worst of times. But Jesus loved Peter, no doubt about it. This is just where Jesus was operating from. He truly wanted his disciples to understand where Jesus himself was coming from and where he was operating from, what his thought process was, why he thought like his dad. This change would be a total paradigm shift for the disciples in their way of thinking, and Jesus wanted them to get it. Jesus knew that in a relatively short period of time, they would be operating on their own. He would no longer be with them in person, and it was imperative for them to understand all these messages and these teachings that he had been giving them. He wanted to make sure that they got it. For them to get his message across to the masses of the people on their own in this world, they would have to know what they were talking about with understanding. This is why he was down on them. Jesus then told his disciples, if any want to become my followers, let them deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For those who want to save their life will lose it, and for those who lose their life for my sake will find it. For what is a man profited if he gain the whole world but lose his own soul? First, Jesus teaches us that we must deny ourselves. Sometimes we must say no to ourselves in order to say yes to God. I also think that on a deeper level, Jesus is saying that we must deny our false selves in order to truly be the person God created us to be. So what is our false self? It is a self that is governed by this world's standards. It is a self that equates success to happiness. It is the self that believes that the one who dies with the most toys wins. It is a self that thinks that things like money and power and influence and more pleasure will bring peace and happiness. This is the false self, the wrong way of thinking. Jesus then told his disciples, if any want to become my followers, take up their cross and follow me. Now, the truth is that I don't know what cross you are being asked to bear right now. But I know that there is a cross that is yours and no one else's. There was a cross that was only for Jesus. There was a cross that was only for his disciples. There is a cross that is only for me. And there is a cross that is only for you. I have not walked in your shoes. I don't know what your life has been like. I don't know the challenges and the issues that you've had to deal with. That is your cross to bear. Life is not easy. It is difficult. Sometimes we have to set aside a lot of the bad that has happened to us and move forward. And this in itself is a cross to bear. You are never alone. You can look around this room. You have people sitting next to you, your friends, your neighbors, your fellow congregants. We can help each other. Sometimes we just have to take that first step and reach out. It can be done. If we want to follow Jesus, we must take up our cross. With Jesus leading us, we can deny our false selves and take up that cross. Without Jesus, it'd be far too difficult. And he doesn't ask us to do this alone. He invites us to follow him, which means to be with him. This brings to mind for me another invitation that Jesus makes. He invites all that are weary and carrying heavy burdens, like a cross, to come to him, and he will give you rest. Take his yoke upon you, he says, and learn from him, for my yoke is easy and his burden is light. That burden can be that cross you're carrying. So we have heard today that life is hard and difficult and can be very frustrating. We've also heard that we are not alone in those struggles. Sometimes sharing helps. We were also told how we should try to live our lives in a way that we treat others who enter our life with kindness and love and patience and perseverance. Remember, you have not walked in their shoes. You don't know what they're struggling with. We were also reminded to keep our sight on the goal, that what we see around us in this mortal world is only temporary and a mirage. So this is why we come together each week in community, to renew and refresh our spiritual selves. You are body, mind, and spirit. The body and the mind really try to take precedence in this mortal world, but it is your spiritual being, that connection you have to God, that is divine and oh so important. When the body and the mind end their finite existence in this world, you, your spiritual being, will return to God from whence you were created. Now, isn't that kind of a fun, interesting thought? In the meantime, we do the best we can. We help each other and ourselves. We be there for each other. And always remember that God is always with you. You are the sparrow that God always knows where it is. Let us go forth in the power of the Spirit. Thanks be to God. Amen. Usually at this point, we jump right into the Nicene Creed and prayers of the people, but right now, we have some bags to bless. My altar guild person is going to help me with the tags. On page 8 of your program, let us pray. God of wisdom, we give you thanks for schools and classrooms and for the teachers and students who fill them each day. We thank you for this new beginning, for new books, and we thank you for sharpened pencils and crisp blank pages waiting to be filled. We thank you for the gift of making mistakes and trying again. Help us to remember that asking the right questions is often as important as giving the right answers. Today we give you thanks for these children. You to bless them with curiosity, understanding, and respect. May their backpacks be assigned to them, that they have everything. They be guided by your love. All this we ask in the name of Jesus, who as a child in the temple showed his longing to learn about you, and as an adult taught by story and example of your great love for us. And we also bless the other bags and totes that will be carried and used throughout the year. May the tags that are put upon them be a sign of who we are and what we believe and how we live our life in this world. Do the owners of these bags want to come forward, please? Come on up. It's blessing time. Go ahead and hand out tags to them as they come up. Hand out the tags to them. Yes. Yeah, go stand by your bag. You can stand by. You're allowed up here too. Grab your bag. Now, if at any time through the coming week or so you have a bag that you would like to have blessed or a tag, bring it to the church office. We can do this. It's not just here. May God's blessing be upon you and upon your bags and everything that you do. Let it be a sign to the world of who you are, what you believe, and how we live our lives. In the name of Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Amen. Thank you very much. Yes, that's fine. Okay, now I ask, please stand and able in body or spirit for the creed of our faith and the prayers of our people. As we say together, we believe in one God, the Father, the Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, of all that is seen and unseen. We believe in one Lord Jesus Christ, the only Son of God, eternally begotten of the Father, God from God, light from light, true God from true God, begotten and not made, of one being with the Father. Through him all things were made. For us and for our salvation, he came down from heaven, was incarnate with the Holy Spirit and the Virgin Mary, and became truly human. For our sake he was crucified under Pontius Pilate. He suffered death and was buried. On the third day he rose again in accordance with the Scriptures. He ascended into heaven and is seated at the right hand of the Father. He will come again in glory to judge the living and the dead, and his kingdom will have no end. We believe in the Holy Spirit, the Lord, the giver of life, who with the Father and the Son is worshipped and glorified, who has spoken through the prophets. We believe in one holy Catholic and apostolic Church. We acknowledge one baptism for the forgiveness of sins. We look for the resurrection of the dead and the life of the world to come. Amen.
God, who calls us to work beside you in the fields of creation, help us to cultivate the human heart and the world around us through the promise of your love. Through the faithful stewardship of Christ, we ask. I ask your prayers for the church throughout the world, for Sean, our presiding bishop, Phil, our bishop, Rachel, Alan, and Pat, our clergy, and for all who serve the church. Through the faithful stewardship of Christ, we ask. I ask your prayers for this congregation, that we embody the love and ministry of Christ, that we grow in commitment, compassion, and courage, that we would be a living sanctuary for all people. Through the faithful stewardship of Christ, we ask. I ask your prayers for this nation, for prudence in our public servants, for truth and clarity from our leadership, for civility among all people, for an appreciation of both civil liberties and social responsibilities. Through the faithful stewardship of Christ, we ask. I ask your prayers for all those throughout the world who experience violence, inequality, injustice, or oppression of the human spirit, that the choices we make as global and community neighbors may serve to help alleviate human suffering and support the diversity that you have made. Through the faithful stewardship of Christ, we ask. I ask your prayers for all of creation, for the wisdom to live with respect and appreciation for all our relations, and for those who truly serve as stewards of your creation. Through the faithful stewardship of Christ, we ask. I ask your prayers for those living with chronic illness, for those known to us who are ill or facing challenges of body, mind, or spirit, especially those we name now. Through the faithful stewardship of Christ, we ask. I ask your prayers for the departed, for all those known to us whom we love but see no longer, especially those we name now.
Especially prayers for the tragedy in Nepal, where hundreds of people perished, for the entertainer and philanthropist this past week of Dolly Parton.
Through the faithful stewardship of Christ, we ask. I ask your prayers of thanksgiving for the verdant life on earth, for the loving friendships that sustain us in this life, for the spirit that sustains and inspires us, and for any special thanksgivings and blessings we name now.
For this church and this congregation, this community of worship.
Through the faithful stewardship of Christ, we ask.
Gracious Creator, you know our needs before we ask, and give us more than we know to seek. Grant us the strength and courage to cultivate our lives and your creation in ways that bring greater healing and hope to the world, that we might realize ourselves and the world that you call us to be as those committed through our baptismal covenant to serve within the faithful stewardship of Christ. Amen. Let us confess our sins against God and our neighbor as we say together, God of all mercy, we confess that we have sinned against you. Opposing your will in our lives, we have denied your goodness in each other, in ourselves, and in the world you have created. We repent of the evil that has plagued us, the evil we have done, and the evil done on our behalf. Forgive, restore, and strengthen us through our Savior Jesus Christ, that we may abide in your love and serve only your will. Amen. Almighty God, have mercy on you, forgive you all of your sins through our Lord Jesus Christ, strengthen you in all goodness, and by the power of the Holy Spirit, keep you in eternal life. Amen. The peace of God be always with you. And also with you. Let us share with each other a sign of Christ's peace. walk in love as Christ walked in love and gave himself an offering and a sacrifice for love. Lift up your hearts. Let us give thanks to the Lord our God. It is right to give God thanks and praise. God of all power, ruler of the universe, you are worthy of glory and praise. At your command, all things came to be, the vast expanse of interstellar space, galaxies, suns, the planets and their courses, and this fragile earth, our island home. From the primal elements, you brought forth the human race and blessed us with memory, reason, and skill. You made us the rulers of creation, but we turned against you and betrayed your trust, and we turned against one another.
Lord, for we are sinners in your sight.
Again and again you called us to return. Through prophets and sages, you revealed your righteous law. And in the fullness of time, you sent your only Son, born of a woman, to fulfill your law, to open for us the way of freedom and peace.
By his blood he reconciled us. By his wounds we are healed.
Therefore we praise you, joining with the heavenly chorus, with prophets, apostles, and martyrs, and with all those in every generation who've looked to you and hope to proclaim with them your glory in their unending hymn. And so, Heavenly Creator, we who have been redeemed by him and made a new people by water and the Spirit, now bring before you these gifts. Sanctify them by your Holy Spirit to be the body and blood of Jesus Christ our Lord. On the night he was betrayed, he took bread, said the blessing, broke the bread, gave it to his friends, and said, "Take, eat. This is my body, which is given for you. Do this for the remembrance of me." After supper, he took the cup of wine, gave thanks, and said, "Drink this, all of you. This is my blood of the new covenant, which is shed for you and for many for the forgiveness of sins. Whenever you drink it, do this for the remembrance of me." Remembering now his work of redemption and offering to you this sacrifice of thanksgiving, we celebrate his death and resurrection as we await the day of his coming. God of our holy and righteous ancestors, Redeemer and Mother of Israel, God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, open our eyes to see your hand at work in the world about us. Deliver us from the presumption of coming to this table for solace only and not for strength, for pardon only and not for renewal. Let the grace of this Holy Communion make us one body, one spirit in Christ, that we may worthily serve the world in his name. Risen Lord, be known to us in the breaking of the bread. Accept these prayers and praises, O God, through Jesus Christ, our great high priest, to whom, with you and the Holy Spirit, your church gives honor, glory, and worship from generation to generation. And as our Savior Christ has taught us, we are bold to pray. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our sins, as we forgive those who sin against us. Save us from the time of trial, and deliver us from evil. For the kingdom, the power, and the glory are yours, now and forever. Amen.
As
The body of Christ is broken for the life of the world. Here is Christ coming to us in bread and in wine, the gifts of God for the people of God, holy gifts for holy people. All are welcome to God's table. Let all partake of a spiritual communion through the blessing of the Holy Spirit, who unites us one to another in our community to Christ. Please stand as able in body or spirit for our post-communion prayer. Let us pray. Almighty and ever-living God, we thank you for feeding us with the spiritual food of the most precious body and blood of your Son, our Savior, Jesus Christ, and for assuring us in these holy mysteries that we are living members of the body of your Son and heirs of your eternal kingdom. And now, Father, send us out to do the work you have given us to do, to love and serve you as faithful witnesses of Christ our Lord. To him, to you, the Holy Spirit, be honor and glory, now and forever. Amen. Live without fear. Your Creator has made you holy, has always protected you, and loves you always. Go in peace to follow the good road, and may God's blessing be with you always, in the name of the Creator, Redeemer, and Sustainer. Amen.
Let us go in peace to love and to serve the Lord.